Yo, what's up? Jed Rocks here. Yes, it's been a while since we shot an episode like this. Hey, we're actually at Kulinarya here in Commercial. Before we did an episode at the Coquitlam location, and today my guest is none other than Ryan Ventura himself. And Ryan, can you tell us what we're going to do today?
Today we're going to have some traditional Filipino food. We're going to go explore Commercial Drive, and we're going to check out Mark Spot game quarters.
Hell yeah, let's go do this. Let's go. So we just ordered our food right now. We got our drinks. I got myself a Red Horse, and what'd you get?
I got myself a classic San Miguel Pilsner.
For the food, we're gonna have some drinks.
Good.
Cheers, man.
I got a minute for you. I benefit, so cut the shit. I got the business for you. You've been the president. I think you're something special. I wanna represent you. Yeah, I'll be your manager. Camping to be unanimous. Lobbying like the cabinet. If you a fan of common sense, you feel this passionate about her fashion too.
So you ever been to the Philippines before?
Unfortunately, I have not yet. Growing up, I didn't like a lot of money, opportunities, or anything like that. So I haven't been back to the motherland yet. But as a kid growing up, trying to get in touch with his roots, I did everything I could to study about the country's history, culture, the different languages, and the different people that live in our country. And in many ways, like even though I've never been, I feel more in touch than I ever have in my life. I mean, like with the pandemic ending and the place that I'm at in my life as a man. That time to visit the motherland is very soon.
What was it about that made you like your Filipino culture?
Well, it took a while to really want to get in touch with it because I didn't really grow up with a lot of Filipino people in my life outside of my own family, unfortunately. So the link to my culture was essentially someone like my Lola, my dad's mom, God rest her soul. She passed away in 2004, too early. But she was one of the few people that actively spoke Tagalog to me a lot.
So you can understand a little bit?
I can understand a little bit. I unfortunately can't speak it fluently.
Yeah, a lot of us can't.
Yeah, and of course things like the food and our mannerisms and things like family values.
Yeah.
Those are things that are instilled in me forever.
Did you have the black box growing up?
I did. You know what? One of my family friends back in the day, he had one of those, and that was some of my earliest exposures to the UFC. So when I was 7 years old, I watched the very first UFC because of the black box. And I'm you can see from this T-shirt, I'm a big Street Fighter fan. I've always been fascinated with martial arts, so all the movies like Bloodsport, anything with Bruce Lee in it. I love watching fights and watching stuff in the black box, like early UFC, boxing, K1.
One of my earliest things with the black box was Mike Tyson fights. Because I was still, I like to be old enough to know what was going on during that time. And you see this monster, no neck, just using his hips, going back and forth, and all my uncles are like, looking at them, they're all hype. And you see these big
I remember those, man. Those were the good days. Days.
No, but you remember before Black Box, they had it was Scramble? The old porn channels? Oh shoot, I think I saw a tit.
The Red Shoe Diaries and Showcase and
then it was scrambled, and you'd be trying to see if it's there.
We're all guilty. From that era, we've all done it.
Yeah, no. So you actually saw UFC 1, the first one.
I did. I saw UFC 1. It was one of the most crazy things that I've ever seen. I just don't remember it like it was yesterday as a kid. Watching it, thinking, oh, this is gonna be like Bloodsport or Street Fighter, but it wasn't. As a kid, when you see the fight go to the ground and you have no early recollection of grappling or jiu-jitsu or submission wrestling, you don't know what the heck's going on. Right? But I remember seeing that, thinking Hoist Gracie was gonna be like Ryu. He's gonna come out like a karate guy and throw fireballs, but it wasn't like that at all. So that was a real mind opener to what real fighting was like.
So my first UFC was actually not the legit copy, so it was a copy, and it was UFC 2. And I didn't, they did a replay of Hoist Gracie winning it, and I was like, that must be a fluke. And Pat Smith.
The kickboxer.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this guy's gonna win it. He's gonna win it. And then, Hoist takes him down. I'm like, what is this? Right? And then, he's doing those rib shots. And does something. I'm like, what was that?
Yeah, I remember seeing, I think it's Gerard Rudeau when he kicked like
That
Taylor,
Zulu
yeah,
wrestler?
the Zulu wrestler Taylor Toomey in the face.
Yeah.
Like that was a real mind blower because I'm like, oh, this is E Honda. He's gonna mess this guy up.
When you realize fighting is a different aspect.
Yeah.
It's a fight between Ken Shamrock and Maurice Grayson. Did you have any like kind of prediction who was gonna win?
Yeah, I thought Ken Shamrock would. Because like when you see Ken Shamrock back in the day, he looked like Superman, right? Super jacked, and I'm not gonna say if he was on anything or anything, but when you saw him, he looked like, you know, I come from the era of pro wrestling, you know, and I still love pro wrestling. And when you see someone like Ken Shamrock, you're like, that guy's Superman, right? He's gonna smash this guy in his pajamas.
I know, it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't work out that way. Well, you know, of course they used the voice as like an example to show like how powerful their jiu-jitsu is.
I know in between like the Ultimate Fighter and that super fight and stuff, there was just a great period and stuff.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts back then when they were labeling it as that?
You know, because like I was like super young when all that stuff was happening. I still remember it too. Like I mean, it was one of those things where like they would market it. There are no rules, you know. One man enters, one man lives, type thing. And it was some wild stuff. Like, blood sports style. And I was all for it as a kid. I thought it was the coolest thing. And my parents, like, you know, they didn't really get it, and they still don't get it. It's cool, right? But I mean, like growing up as a kid, like seeing real life Street Fighter, I had like access to like, you know, bootleg DVDs and VHS of early UFCs and all that kind of stuff. You know, and actually one of the things that really kept me in the loop in terms of like what's going on in the fight world were video games. So, you know, for the PlayStation 1, I had like the first UFC video game, and you know, I had the K1 Revenge video game, and I played a lot of Knockout Kings. So that was like a boxing game. So like I was very familiar with the fight game, and it was because of video games actually. That's what kept me interested in watching fights.
Yeah, no, Street Fighter 2, I was addicted.
Yeah, and I still am addicted. We're gonna play later.
Hell yeah, I'm slow down, man.
Are you good?
No, but I love play. I love the competition. You know, one of my favorite games was, you remember that 4-player Ninja Turtle game?
I love it.
We always beat Leonardo, because I always loved the samurai sword.
Yeah. Leonardo was cool, because he could also do that move where like he would like spin around with his swords and he'd do like a tornado.
I've known this guy for like a decade at least.
More than that, since 2005.
Yeah, since 2005. The crazy story is that, you know how we met? We were actually both rappers. I was, you know, I'm still Jedrox, but you were at RCBDMC.
Yeah, that's a name that I haven't heard in a long time. RCBDMC.
Yeah, you know, we did our own thing, and then I started getting back into martial arts just for fitness. And little did you know, this guy was doing the exact same thing. Judge June.
Rest in peace, Judge.
Yeah, R&B man, you're a homie. You're definitely a homie.
You really go way back. Yeah. I used to, like, my first formal martial arts coach was the late great Judd Skinner. He unfortunately passed away last September, and I broke my heart because, you know, he was in such excellent shape. But yes, he was my very first formal martial arts coach, and like I went to his place over in New Era in Richmond, kickboxing, and then our niece with him actually.
Yeah. The one aspect that I really loved about mixed martial arts was the strength and conditioning, because that's all mindset.
All mental.
It's all mental. Finally, the spread has arrived. Ryan, can you let the audience know what we're having today?
All right, so we're gonna start with the white bowl here. So right here, we have some classic garlic rice, the essential of every, you know, Filipino lunch, breakfast, brunch essentially, right?
Yeah, pretty much brunch right now.
So this is an essential. We have some sisig. This is a favorite of many titos. Whenever there's like any booze around, if you got like any drinks, this is like usually at the middle of the table. We have some Diniguan. Now this is something that like personally, I'm down to eat it here just because like I know the level of food here is amazing. But like I have a story here. So my grandma Beth, my Lola, she would tell me that this is chocolate rice, right? And I used to be like, oh yeah, it's chocolate rice. And then when I learned, eventually as I got older, like I had like this sort of mental blockage that prevented me from eating what it is. It's a pork blood stew, right? And like not saying that it's a bad thing, but you know, because of the great people that cooked here, I'm gonna eat this and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be amazing, right? And this is my personal favorite. This is chicken adobo. Now this is probably the most bougie plate of chicken adobo I've ever seen. Most definitely caters to the palate of the people in Commercial Drive. But like usually when I have chicken adobo, my mom makes an amazing chicken adobo, my Lolo too. It doesn't look like this, but their chicken adobo is world class, and I think this is gonna be amazing too.
Yeah, as promised, he's gonna try the blood pork stew, aka the Diniguan.
Yeah, like I said before, man, my grandma Beth used to say this is chocolate rice, and
Chocolate rice.
for the longest time I had some mental blockage, but because of the great cooks here, you know, I am 100% sure I'm gonna like this. And I do love it.
Yes.
Like this is legit. It's not just for the camera. I think it's amazing. It's great.
Blunt lips, come quick for a burn, no shit. Baby girl, I already know that it go like this. The cars, the scars, the wrongs, the falls, the white, the mom, the ice, the bombs. Without a doubt, tell me what you want. You can count me in.
Man, that was just a lot for us to intake, but no regrets. I love being full, especially with this type of stuff, and Ryan's gonna tell you how it went.
Oh man, I have to tell you guys right now, this was a 10 out of 10. This is some of the best Filipino food that I've had outside of my mom or my Lola. This was amazing, and you know what? I think my parents and my relatives be proud. I just devoured this Diniguan, and like this was something like for a long time I just mentally, you know, I had that mental blockage where I couldn't enjoy this amazing dish. But this was like one of the highlights of my lunch. I loved it. Actually, everything was amazing. The Sisig was great. The Adobo was amazing, you know. But again, like I can't, like even though this place is a 10 out of 10, I can't openly say it's better than my mom or my Lola's food.
But one thing is, I don't know, we had sisig before in previous episodes. I don't know if you know what sisig really is. It's actually pig face and pig
delicious.
ears. And it tastes mother effing good. Hey, what's up? We just finished our meal here in Kulinarya Commercial Drive. And Rosette here, if you can remember our Budol fight a few years back in her Coquitlam location, she happened to be here on the Sunday, and I just really want to thank you for having us here again.
No, thank you for coming.
Yeah, and the chef today was none other than Jay, the commercial chef. And anything you got to say to these?
You know, I'll tell you guys what I told the camera. That's easily like the best Filipino food that I've ever had, but like I can't tell that to my mom or my Lola. So it's like, you know, it's 10 out of 10, and you know, I recommend it to everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, so Kulinarya Commercial Drive. Come on in.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you'll see them soon. Thank you guys so much.
Thank-
You can count me in.